Coming to midfield are Charger captains John Carney, Stan Brock, Courtney Hall, Leslie O'Neill, and Junior Seau. Representing San Francisco are captains Antonio Goss, Tim McDonald, and Jerry Rice. The referee for today's game is Jerry Markbright.
San Diego is the visiting team and will call the toss. Captain Brock, this is the coin to be used. This is the head. This is the tail. Please call it in the air when it's flipped. Otto, will you do the honors, please? Tail. Tails is the call. It's heads. 49ers win the toss. You want the ball, your choice of goals. Swing around, gentlemen. You've won the toss. You'll go receive. Good luck, gentlemen. Good luck. Thank you.
Meanwhile, visibility inside Joe Robbie Stadium has been greatly reduced. The pyrotechnics that we saw during the national anthem, that's actually better than it looked like. There's a great shot from above. It is lingering inside the stadium. It is not cleared yet, and it's hazy.
It's like a scene from a cabaret. As John Carney, who has found a home in San Diego, he's one of those kickers like so many others who just bounced around. He'll kick off to the 49ers, who have been a fast-starting team throughout the season. In fact, the 49ers have had a propensity to pass a lot more than run in the first quarter of games this season. Joe Robbie Stadium at 76 degrees. 82% humidity, and Super Bowl 29 is underway with a short kick that is taken up at the 17-yard line by Carter. And Dexter gets taken down at the 26-yard line. The tackle is made by Andre Coleman, and the game begins with a penalty marker. Jerry Markbright, the referee, is refereeing his 4th Super Bowl. He's the first man in history to ref 4 Super Bowls.
Personal foul. Face mask, number 54, kicking team, 15 yards, first down.
So after good coverage on the kick, Doug Miller cost him 15 yards.
Boy, and there's a great look at it right in the middle of our camera as he goes to the ground. He's just dragging down number 85 for the San Francisco 49ers, Ted Popson. And boy, that was an excellent job of catching that one. And you hate to see fairly good work by your special teams thrown out the window.
Here are the Niners now at the 41-yard line. They had Waters split to the right as a wide receiver and give it to the fullback, William Floyd, for a pickup of 4 to the 45. The 49ers now offensively with Young at quarterback. Waters really came on toward the end of the season. Floyd, a fabulous rookie year from Florida State. Taylor and the fabulous Jerry Rice. Brent Jones, the tight end. And then the men up front, Wallace, Sapolo going to the Pro Bowl, Oates, the former Giant, Deese, and Harris Barton, who tore his triceps on opening night and missed half the season. Healthy now. 2nd and 6 from the 45. And with Floyd in motion and no backs behind Young, he goes to the air and hits Taylor. And John Taylor has the ball into San Diego territory, and that's a first down. Seau and Gibson, the 2 linebackers, make the stop. Now, San Diego defensively, the base 4-3. Mims, Lee, Davis, a great acquisition, and Leslie O'Neill has been there since '86. Griggs, Gibson, and you all know about Seau and the secondary, and they'll be tested tonight. Gordon, Harper, the corners, Harrington and Richard to the safety. From the 44, they fake it to Floyd. Young to the air, Young to Jerry Rice. Touchdown, San Francisco.
Well, that's quite a statement their defense made.
The lightning bolts were just hit by one.
Jerry Rice, his 5th Super Bowl touchdown, splitting defensive safety men. And it was almost like they were paralyzed there, almost like they were looking for an autograph as he went by.
Well, the first pass to John Taylor was just a 3-step drop, a quick release. This time Young goes back a little farther, and you can see Richard in the trailing position in the middle, and 29 Carrington, both safeties, for the San Diego Chargers. It's their responsibility to handle the middle of the football field. And Frank, I have dumbfounded as to what they're doing.
Good move to the outside on Carrington. He obviously expected help from the inside. From Richard, he didn't get it. 6 points, and this is the worst thing that could have happened to the Chargers.
Doug Bryan, the rookie, for the point after. The game is 1 minute, 24 seconds. 7-0 49ers. Doug Bryan sends it skyward. The rookie Andre Coleman out of Kansas State, a third-round draft choice, who's done a nice job all season, gets tackled by Adam Walker. Great coverage by the 49ers. And Stan Humphries will take over at that spot. Stan Humphries, selected by Washington in '88, traded a couple of years ago to San Diego. Streaky. Natron Means, the bull with a lot of speed, plows over people. Jefferson and Say are the wideouts, and they play a 2 tight end set with Young and Papuno. Then the guys up front, Swain, a rookie Isaac Davis, Courtney Hall, one of the best, Capuzzo, and Stan Brock in his 15th season. The longtime New Orleans Saint finally makes it to a Super Bowl. First down, the Niners put 5 men up on the line, and they give it to Natron Means, who squirms for 3 to the 18-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Now San Francisco defensively, and they're really strong up front in the middle. They've got Brown and Ricky Jackson on the outside, but Bryant Young, the fabulous rookie from Notre Dame, and Dana Stubblefield, the tackles. Woodall is a rookie, Plummer, the ex-Charger, and Ken Norton Jr. seeking his 3rd straight Super Bowl ring. Davis is the only one of those 4 not going to the Pro Bowl. That's how good that secondary is. Sanders, McDonald, and Hanks with him. 2nd and call it 6 up at the 19-yard line. Humphries over the middle. His first pass is complete and caught by Mark Say up at the 24-yard line. A little short of the first down, 3rd and 1.
And how important is it now for San Diego to keep themselves together, not do anything desperate, stay with a game plan, not get away from it this early in the football game, and I don't think they will. But I do expect them to do a little bit more of the gambling type of offense than we would have expected.
One thing I've seen here is that Deion Sanders is locking up with Sean Jefferson, the receiver for the Chargers. He's taking him to either side of the field. We'll have to see if that continues.
3rd and 1, and they're going to open it up. The play fake, the roll, and then the pass is errant. Intended for Jefferson. So on the type of play, if you're going to button it up, you're going to give it to Means and let him do it. Instead, the Chargers go for the first down through the air but come up empty.
Sanders, normally the corner on the other side of the field, at least for the first series, goes one-on-one with Jefferson.
Brian Wagner, who started the season in retirement and then picked up in the 3rd week, gets a nice bounce as they let it roll down to the 21-yard line. Stan Humphries 3 and out after the 49ers ran 3 plays and got 7. And now San Francisco 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line. And Steve Young keeps it on the ground, gives it to Ricky Waters, who picks up a yard. He's tackled there by Sean Lee, who had arthroscopic surgery a couple of weeks ago, but is healthy again and starting in the middle. 2nd and 9.
Well, Bill Arnsparger, the defensive coordinator of the San Diego Chargers, 68 years old, has a wealth of experience at his behest, and I'm sure he needed all of it to try to calm down his defensive team, which gives up a bonehead touchdown to the 49ers on their first possession. They need to come up big on this series.
2nd and 9. They give a different look with Jones set wide and in motion, and coming back the other way to Floyd. And Floyd is out to the 28-yard line, a little short of the first down. Darian Gordon makes the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
Let's take a look at the Jerry Rice touchdown. Jerry Rice caught 12 passes in the game 6 weeks ago. Here's a replay of that play, and you saw the quick read by Steve Young as he looked down. Look at that, splitting the safeties. Again, he caught 12 passes for 144 yards 6 weeks ago.
The middle of the field is only supposed to be vulnerable if you've done something with some of your safeties. Blitz them or something like that, not with both of them deep.
3rd down and 3. And Young scramble, and that's what Steve Young does, and what sets him apart as he runs for the first down. So you cover everybody, and then there's Young. First down, San Francisco, behind a Nate Singleton block.
He is so effective. He goes back. He made about 3 reads then, looking first to his tight end Brent Jones, who set up over the middle. He was covered. He looked to John Taylor. He was covered. He had the poise and the composure. There's a quick read. Brent Jones is covered. He pulls it down, and away he goes. And he is one of the better running backs on the football field, the 3rd leading rusher this season for the 49ers with nearly 300 yards.
It's almost not fair.
No, it isn't.
He averages 5.1 yards per rush. The league average is 3.7. First down at the 49-yard line. Young this time gives it, or fakes it to Floyd, then throws to Waters, who breaks a couple of tackles, and there goes Ricky for a touchdown.
Boy, I'll tell you, it was tough enough with John Taylor, Jerry Rice, and Brent Jones. But Ricky Waters has worked himself into the passing offense of the 49ers big time. The leading yardage gainer for backs and receiving this past season, and Bill Arnsparger just wondering what is happening out there. Ricky Waters wide open, no protection, no pass rush on Steve Young. And he took a good blow there.
You can't miss tackles against the 49ers. You just can't do it. Stanley Richard got a shot on Ricky Waters. You just can't miss tackles downfield. You can't blow coverages. Not against a football team this good. And I'm in favor of rewinding back to the national anthem and starting over.
Bill Arnsparger has watched his defense shredded now. 7 plays have been run by the 49ers, and they have 14 points. And in the history of the Super Bowl, the biggest margin ever overcome was 10. Here's the kickoff by Bryan. Andre Coleman takes it at the goal line. And the Kansas State rookie brings it back out to the 22, where he's tackled by Toy Cook as the Chargers come out to take the ball for the second time.
Incredibly, as it was on the first touchdown to Jerry Rice, it's the 2 safeties of the Chargers that are involved. The first one is a hit by Stanley Richard. The first one by Carrington, rather. That's Darren Carrington that bounces off. And then Stanley Richard right here comes in, and he gets faked by Ricky Waters, and he has a clean whiff in the open field.
Ordinarily, your safeties have to be good tacklers in this league. I don't know, it's just almost like they're mesmerized by the 49ers.
Here's Humphries. He floats one that may have been tipped and is caught by Dwayne Young. They play a double tight end set for a short game. Stanley Richard is known as the sheriff. He better call for the deputies here, the way the first 2 touchdown plays have gone against that secondary.
And I agree with you. I thought it was tipped as well, Al. It was altered at the line of scrimmage. I think Dennis Brown, number 96. Yep, there he gets the left fingers on it, and nice piece of concentration there by Dwayne Young.
2nd and 7. They have Ronnie Harmon in the game. Number 33 was in motion, and they go right to Ronnie Harmon, and he seeks a first down and comes close to it. He is their 3rd down specialist. He tied for the team lead in receptions with 58, and they'll probably use him more tonight on 1st and 2nd down as well.
Pittsburgh in the playoff game took him, for all intent and purposes, out of the game. Only 1 reception, but we're going to see a lot of Ronnie Harmon from this point on in this game, because he is a fine pass receiver. You can use him out of the backfield. You can use him in a slot. You can use him as a wide receiver, and he does everything in the passing game well.
You can see just a little bit short, and the 49ers were obviously playing with the San Diego Chargers on the first series, because now Deion Sanders is back at his familiar right cornerback position. As a matter of fact, Deion now looks like he's taking a stroll towards the sidelines.
Each team in its 3rd
he comes out on
game.
Short yardage, but he's sitting at his right corner position. That last time he was locked up on Mark Say, staying at home.
Hanks goes to corner. Hall comes in at safety. 3rd down and inches, and Humphries keeps it himself and has the first down at the 33-yard line. The Chargers' initial first down. First down, Deion back in and goes man-to-man with Tony Martin as Natron Means carries to the 37. Means out of North Carolina, just 22 years old, 2nd-round pick last year, came out early, and Bobby Beathard said that acquisition and Reuben Davis defensively were the 2 best moves he's made in the last 2 years.
He's made some moves in the last 2 years. Picked up 4 unprotected free agents, and all of them are starters on defense. That's how much this team has changed defensively in 1 year.
2nd and 7 at the 37-yard line. And it's Means again up to the 40-yard line. Tackled there by Bryant Young, the great-looking rookie from Notre Dame.
Bryant Young has played as well as any defensive lineman rookie that I have seen in a long time. He has started from day 1. He has played every game. He has started every game. And the 49ers have hit consecutive home runs in the middle of their defensive line. First drafting Dana Stubblefield last year, and then this year with the #1 drafting Bryant Young.
3rd and 4. Say in motion. Humphries guns one into the 49er territory, and it is a first down. Ronnie Harmon, who played no part in the AFC Championship game, already a big part on this drive for San Diego here.
Well, the Steelers effectively took him out with their defense, and when you take Ronnie Harmon out of your offense, he is their big 3rd down receiver. 24, I think he caught over the season with a good quick move. He can plant a foot, accelerate it out of his cut. And it was a good read on the part of quarterback Stan Humphries and a good pass.
Yeah, it was a good sharp throw by Humphries. That's good to see.
6.5 minutes to go in the quarter. The fake to Means. Humphries, nobody open.
Well, his receiver falls flat on his face. Tony Martin went down to the ground, nobody to go to.
It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Stan wants to work the right side of the field the whole way. Martin goes down, tries to make his cut, plants his foot and goes right to the turf. This time he's working against cornerback, you got it, Deion Sanders, and Deion doesn't have to do anything. Stan has to throw the ball away.
Now Sanders comes back to the other side and locks up with Sean Jefferson. It's 2nd and 10 at the 43-yard line. The short drop this time, and the quick out, and it's caught by Mark Say. His forward progress takes him to the 40. They'll be 3rd and 7. And let's get a word from Lynn Swann. Swanee?
Al, with San Diego behind by 14 points, we know they're going to put the ball in the air even more. And Bobby Ross told me before the game that he talked to Jerry Markbrecht to remind him that there's a 5-yard chucking zone. They don't want Deion Sanders to be able to put his hands all over the receivers like he did against Michael Irving in the Dallas game. So the officials will be on top of it all night long. Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. 3rd down and 7. Just inside the 40. 5:50 to go. First quarter, 14-0. 49ers. This is the 9th play of the drive, and coming across the line was Dana Stubblefield. Was he induced?
Offside, number 94, defense, unabated toward the quarterback. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That helps a lot. That helps Ralph Friedgen upstairs. When you take a 3rd and long situation and now bring it down to something a little more manageable.
3rd and a short 2. And Ronnie Harmon has a hole to the right side. Inside the 30, down to the 25-yard line. Nice block by rookie Isaac Davis, their top draft pick out of Arkansas, to string him. First down.
Ronnie Harmon, who ordinarily works out of the backfield as a receiver, this time used on a little draw play to the offside, and very effective.
On 1st and 10, they give it to Natron Means. And like a pinball, he works his way down to the 21-yard line. A pickup of 4 with 4:40 to go in the first quarter.
It's more like a pin bull than a pinball.
One thing with the 49ers going up by 14 this early in the game, you really don't have to leave your game plan. You have a lot of time to get back into the football game, and this is a very effective drive that could get the Chargers back into the game. There's Means. He sort of looks like he's a little top heavy when you get up close to him and you watch him work out, but he has amazing balance for a big man, almost 250.
He's got some legs, doesn't he?
Ooh. On 2nd and 6, Means again. Natron inside the 15, takes it to the 10-yard line. Deion Sanders met Natron Means.
Deion's so proud of himself for getting in on a tackle. He's up high-fiving people. He was there and he survived it.
Deion's very open to the press this week down here in Miami. He says, I hate tackling. He said, that's for linebackers. It is the 90s, I guess.
Another good-looking play. It's really the same thing with Papunu, Swain, Davis all being involved, and Deion knifing in there.
Oh, nice tackle.
1st and goal. The nose of the ball was right on the stripe, and it's Means taking it to the 9-yard line. He's stopped by Gary Plummer, the longtime former Charger, who opted to go to San Francisco to try to get to a Super Bowl, and he did. Of course, not having any idea he'd be facing his old mates.
A little bit ironic, except I think that Gary Plummer thought all along that he had a much better chance of getting there with the 49ers. The Chargers, they didn't look like at the second half of the season that they were going to do much of anything in the postseason. A 500 ball club down the stretch.
Second and goal. Humphreys guns it.
Oh, yeah. They got Sanders that time.
Sanders got flagged covering Sean Jefferson.
Oh, he almost garroted him. And right in front of the official.
That's as flagrant a defensive hold as you'll see.
The 49ers jumping out to a quick 14-0 lead, but the Chargers doing anything but rolling over and dying. Have moved down the field, first and goal at the 1. Means the tailback. They give it to Natron Means, and he's in for the touchdown behind Steve Hendrickson.
Well, you talk about athletic ability. You saw it there. We're talking about Means, how powerful he is. He also is, he's so agile. For the man his size, this time he just hurdled over the top into the end zone.
A championship quality drive by the San Diego Chargers.
Doing what they want to do, and taking time off the clock.
Yeah, beautiful
getting right
mix,
back into it.
Beautiful mix of plays. The run, the passes, left, right. Nice play calling by Ralph Friedgen. Good execution by his offensive team.
John Carney, who led the league in scoring, tacks on the extra point. 13 plays, 78 yards, engineered by Ralph Friedgen, the offensive coordinator. Well, Stan Humphreys leading the San Diego Chargers on a drive they desperately needed at that point, with the 49ers scoring quickly. 14-0, a nightmarish beginning, but now they're right back in it.
Yeah, but now unfortunately they have to give San Francisco the ball.
And that's been a problem.
That's been a problem. The 2 times they've had it, it's been a problem for San Diego.
Carney kicks off. Dexter Carter fields the ball at the 12-yard line and brings it back out to the 31. It's a 19-yard run back. Eric Castle makes the tackle. And a little pushy-shovey.
Well, if this pushy-shovey keeps going, there's going to be a flag. It's reached the limits of how far it can go without a flag.
It is first down, and Jerry Rice goes in motion from the 30-yard line. Fake to Waters, over the middle. The catch is made by Jerry Rice. And out to the 49-yard line he goes. He's tackled there by Junior Seau. It's a 19-yard gain. First down at the 49-yard line. They're going to run a reverse as Waters hands it to Jerry Rice. Rice into San Diego territory. Bumped out at the 41-yard line. Tackle made by Gordon. Took a tough hit at the end.
Well, he's taken a lot of tough hits over the years. Jerry Rice, one of the remarkable things about him, not the records that he has set, he has never missed a game because of an injury. He's taken many hits like that. One of the best conditioned athletes, hardest working athletes I have ever met.
First and 10 at the 41. Young is perfect thus far. He's 5 of 5, and now he is 5 of 6 intended for Brent Jones. It's been a pretty quiet week, all things considered. Very few fireworks between these two teams. I guess the biggest story is kind of a non-story. Jerry Rice musing about retirement. But that's not going to happen.
No,
Jerry Rice was a little ill over the past 24 hours.
Yeah, Jerry made a valid point. He said, hey, I've been in the league 10 years. I have the right to think about quitting. One thing about Jerry Rice, he does want to own every passing record in the NFL history books, and he still has a little work left to do.
He's back in on second. And Taylor makes a fabulous catch.
That's the problem. You talk about Jerry Rice on one side, and the other side is John Taylor. One of the reasons Jerry Rice, he's a great receiver, of course.
We're talking about this one, by the way, guys.
It was ruled initially a catch, and now another official may have had a better vantage point.
Well, they're still letting it stand.
I think it was a perfect catch. I mean, he went down to pull the ball up. Look at that.
Great.
Covered it with the arm.
Yes.
Oh, God,
but
that's beautiful.
if you double cover Jerry Rice, you're going to get single coverage on John Taylor.
Beautiful.
And he can kill you.
Upon further review, a first down. With 45 seconds to go in the quarter. Ricky Waters, nothing in the middle, so he goes to the outside, but Gibson gets an arm on him, and then he lost the ball, but out of bounds as Harper comes up to help out.
Ricky lost the ball, nearly lost his helmet. Excellent support on the corner by the San Diego Chargers. They can play the run, and that time they got a lot of white jerseys up there. Dennis Gibson, the hero of the game in Pittsburgh. But that was just a good collective effort by the Chargers. You string a running back out. You don't let him get his shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage. Excellent team defense by San Diego.
And we talked about Jerry Rice and John Taylor, and we have not yet heard from Brent Jones, we will soon.
They attempted that one pass to him that was incomplete. 2nd and 11. Young scrambling. Taken off. Inside the 20. Banged down at the 15 by Junior Seau. And Brent Jones may not be catching passes, but he threw a block right there.
Did he throw a beautiful block?
Well, directed by the maestro. Steve's pointing the guys out. Take him down, and he did.
15-yard pickup. Young has now carried twice for 36 yards and watches the first quarter expire. Back in Miami. Second quarter about to begin. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, Super Bowl 29. 49ers have marched down the field twice. They were countered by a long San Diego drive to make it 14-7. And now as we begin period number 2, it's a 1st and 10 for the 49ers at the 15-yard line. Ricky Waters splits to the left. And Jerry Rice comes in motion. Floyd stays in the block. Young throws to Rice, and he's tackled by Darian Gordon after a minimal gain. Pickup of 3.
And this is the territory where you've got to cover number 84, Brent Jones. This is where he likes to work, the big tight end.
2nd and 7. And with Floyd in motion, Reuben Davis came across the line. Reuben Davis picked up as a free agent from the Phoenix Cardinals.
It wasn't exactly an explosive.
5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Floyd takes it down to the 5-yard line, fighting his way forward. He is stopped there by Dennis Gibson.
And he's real close to a 1st down.
Gibson making that stop. Dennis Gibson, as much as anybody else, the reason that the San Diego Chargers and not the Pittsburgh Steelers are here today.
And again, he's one of Bobby Beathard's 4 unprotected free agents that came over. Reuben Davis, we talked about him a moment ago. David Griggs was also part of that unprotected free agent crop, as was Dwayne Harper, the cornerback, and they all start. There's Bobby Beathard on the right.
Gibson knocking down that pass from O'Donnell intended for Foster that sent San Diego here. 3rd and inches, and Young tries to turn his shoulders and angle his way for the 1st down. Very close.
Steve Young, one of the best quarterback sneaking QBs in the league because of his sense of being able to feel the softness in there and get a 1st down. There just wasn't much softness there. The penetration belonged that time to the guys in the white shirts, the defensive line of the Chargers. He didn't have to go very far, though. We're talking about just a couple of inches. And they're going to bring in the sticks and take a close look at this one. He looks to the left, then tries to come back to the right. He goes low. And in that situation, it is awful hard to not pick up more than a couple inches. You can see they got the nose of the ball onto the 5.
You can't hesitate either. I mean, he took a look to the left, as you pointed out, tried to take it to the right. That changes things dramatically.
It's just your offensive line has to get beaten so badly to not pick up a couple of inches on a quarterback's sneak. Somehow the center has to get really blown back off the ball, and it doesn't happen all that often.
1st down. 13:15 remaining in the 1st half. 14-7 49ers. On 1st and goal from the 5. Young to Floyd. Touchdown.
Bar none.
That's what they call him. He says, I'm the best fullback in the league, bar none.
Why is it that the 49ers get 3 rookie starters on their football team, and all 3 of them look like experienced veterans? William Floyd, Lee Woodall, and Bryant Young. That's
Floyd is from Florida State. You got Woodall from Westchester State. How do you talk about him? But Bryant Young is from Notre Dame.
David Griggs, the linebacker from San Diego, is the guy that had the coverage. He's number 92 there on the left side of your screen. He's going to come in, but he's just late to get to William Floyd, and then the tackle's not made. And hey, guess what? 3 possessions, 3 49er touchdowns.
Three possessions, 3 touchdowns. Doug Bryan to kick off.
To win this game, San Diego's going to need a big special teams play somewhere along the line.
A yard into the end zone brings it back out to the 19. He's given them some big plays this season. has Coleman. He scored 2 touchdowns on returns. And let's get a word from Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Al, the 49ers decided to come into this game and script the first 15 plays. As you mentioned, they scored 3 touchdowns in those 17 plays. A lot of Ricky Watters at wideout, but for Mike Shanahan, quite a script.
Quite an offensive coordinator as well, and a big story, and we'll detail that with Mike Shanahan before this night is done.
They've been doing that under this man for many years, and Bill Walsh before that. Mike Shanahan went to a clinic was he was in college, and that's where he picked up the routine.
Mike Shanahan, a much sought after coach, and Humphreys gets sacked because Dana Stubblefield came bursting through, and Jerry Rice is going back to the locker room.
They were looking at his left shoulder on the sidelines while we were away, and you remember he took the shot from Darian Gordon on that reverse a short while ago, went back to play, but now I think they want to take a better look at it.
And as soon as we hear anything on Jerry Rice, we'll let you know.
8-yard sack, 2nd and 18 from the 11. And they keep it on the ground, and Natron Means probes the middle, but nothing is there for him. So 3rd and very long. And let's go back to take a look at the hit that sends Jerry Rice back to the locker room.
Remember, it was on the near sideline, and it was number 21, Darian Gordon, the cornerback for the Chargers. Here comes a hit. Jerry lowers his shoulder, but he takes the shot. He does block some of it with his left arm. And keep in mind that this is a guy that's never missed a game due to injury. We asked Jerry Rice, can he ever remember even being hurt? He said, yeah, I remember one time I had a thigh bruise back in college.
3rd and 17, and Humphreys protected well, guns it, and is fortunate it wasn't picked off by Tyrone Drakeford.
Just good coverage in the secondary, and you're right, Al, that could have been picked off so easily, and Stan Humphreys just trying to get rid of it, threw it out of bounds, and almost lost it.
Well, 3 and out is definitely not good news for your defensive team. It puts them right back on the field. And this is a defensive football team now for San Diego that has to be completely shell-shocked.
And 3 and out deep in your own territory. Yeah. Wagner sends it down to the 43-yard line. And it's Dexter Gardner coming to the outside and taken down. Good coverage on the play as the tackle is made by Shannon Mitchell. The San Francisco 49ers have been unstoppable so far. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. They'll take it. San Diego needs somebody to step up now defensively. Junior Seau has hardly had his name mentioned to this point.
And I think they'll have to get away from that zone. They're laying back there very soft, and they're going to have to do something to make something happen. And it's not going to come from that bend to don't break defense.
Everybody knew it coming into the game that there was no way they can play their passive defense. Young goes deep on him right away.
Again, and it's a little overthrown. Coverage was decent. John Taylor was the intended receiver, and Steve frustrated with himself.
The one thing with the 49ers offensively, I think defensively you sit back and you're in awe of them. And granted, they do take away you being able to do some things because they have talent all over the field, both wide receivers, the tight end, the running back. But the worst thing you can do is be passive. You can't wait for the game to happen in front of you and then hope that you make that first tackle. You got to take chances. Without taking chances, the Chargers are dead.
And you cannot miss that first tackle.
No, but they must gamble.
It is 2nd down and 10, and it's critical to stop the 49ers here. They get to stop him as McCaffrey, who's playing now because Rice is being worked on, and it is a shoulder strain. It's being iced right now in the locker room. That's why Jerry's back there. McCaffrey is in. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
And here comes a monster play for San Diego's defense.
3rd down and 5 at the 49. A look into the eyes of Junior Seau. Stays back in pass protection. It's deflected and incomplete. McCaffrey couldn't hold on. Almost picked off. David Griggs was there.
One that could have been caught by the 6'5 McCaffrey, but it had an awful lot on it. Very uncharacteristic of Steve Young. He just smoked that in there, and McCaffrey would have been close to the first down, but he just zipped that in there. Very difficult for McCaffrey to hold on.
And we will see the first punt of the day for the 49ers. Here it is again.
There's McCaffrey.
Yep. The ball.
He was there.
It was high and behind him. It was not a very good throw by Steve Young.
Klaus Wilmsmeyer has one of the cushiest jobs in America. The punter for the 49ers.
He scored more touchdowns than he's punted, right?
It's fielded at the 18-yard line by Darian Gordon, but the coverage is great. The kick pinned him against the sideline. The crowd wants a flag for a late hit. Kevin Mitchell was there for the coverage. No marker. Well, the Chargers did what they had to do defensively. Now let's see what they can do offensively. 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. They were able to stop San Francisco, and now they begin this drive with Natron Means, who's dragged down from behind. Ricky Jackson, the longtime Saint, came for a small salary, got a huge bonus when they made it to the Super Bowl and playing in the big show for the first time. Flag down.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 73, offense. After the play was over, 15-yard penalty, and the down counts. It'll be half the distance to the goal. Second down.
That is a costly penalty on Isaac Davis.
2nd and 19 now. Humphreys going deep. The coverage is good, though. It looked as if somebody threw something, but it wasn't a flag.
Threw his hat to mark a hat right where he might have caught the ball.
Al, your call was Humphreys going deep. Humphreys was going deep into the end zone, flat on his back, courtesy of Dana Stubblefield. Stan under tremendous pressure trying to find somebody open.
And even under that kind of pressure, he was very careful. He was not going to turn it over. He threw that ball where only his man could take it. This is what you spoke of a moment ago. And he laid it up high, and Stubblefield unloaded on him.
Well, he beats the rookie Isaac Davis to the inside. Not a good series here for young Mr. Davis.
Not so far. 3rd down and 19. Humphreys throwing out of the end zone, and it's incomplete. The Niners secondary doing a terrific job. Papuna was the intended receiver, and it's 4th down again.
Ooh, risky business to Stan Humphreys. Close to a 2-pointer. Had a lot of presence. Knew where he was. Was not going to throw the interception. Threw it in the direction of the receiver and avoided the 2.
Boy, credit the 49ers. Stan Humphrey must have held that football for 7 seconds at least and still couldn't find anybody to throw it to. What a job of coverage by the 49ers.
Brian Walker now, and that one made contact with a 49er, but look at that roll, and it will turn out to look pretty good on the stat sheet. Adam Walker was rushing the kicker and may have gotten a hand on it, but the Chargers get away with one there, despite the deflection.
Here's Adam Walker right here. He's going to be turned completely loose, and he comes in and he does get a hand on the football. Unbelievably, they just let him go, and he does deflect the football, and I've never seen a deflected ball travel farther than that.
41 yards officially as William Floyd takes it down to the 46.
How do you get a 41-yard punt when it's tipped?
Meanwhile, Jerry Rice has come back onto the field and has come back into the game.
So Rice missed a series. They iced his shoulder. Back he comes. And when Jerry was in there, the 49ers marched 59, 79, and 70 yards to their 3 scores. 2nd and 7 at the 46. 9 minutes to go in the half. 21-7 San Francisco. Young guns it to Jones, and the tight end makes the catch at the 39-yard line, and that should be enough for a first down. Let's get the update on Jerry Rice from Leslie Visser.
Al, Jerry just sat in a chair for about 5 or 10 minutes. He had tape on him, and they put some extra padding. He says he's ready to go, Al.
Okay, Jerry Rice, who, well, by the time he's finished, will not only own most regular season receiving marks, but a lot of Super Bowl records as well. He's already won 1 Super Bowl MVP award. And was hugely instrumental in another San Francisco Super Bowl victory. From the 39-yard line, Young going for the man, and it's broken up by Darian Gordon.
Boy, it was a good read and a good change at the line of scrimmage by Steve Young. And Rice splitting the coverage. The ball hanging just a little bit, and let's take a look now again. He drives it to the inside. He's set up to the inside, and Darian Gordon completely turned around, got back into it. And the second-year man out of Stanford, first-year pick a year ago, makes a good play. And it was a good read. He spins him clear around, and Young a little slow in getting it to him.
I would have to say that when Jerry Rice spins a corner all the way around, 99 times out of 100, that's a completed pass. That ball was late getting there from Young.
2nd and 10, and he fires a slant over the middle. It's caught by Jerry Rice. They've run that play a million times, seemingly, with probably a 90% success rate.
People, I don't think, realize how many of the 49er passes are such quick rhythm and really just 5-yard completions. All week long, the 49ers, the Chargers rather, have had a saying, 5-yard pass, 6-yard gain. They are really emphasizing that we must make the tackle and we must make it on the spot of the reception. At times tonight they have it.
On the 27-yard line, Taylor makes the catch after Young had to check off, and nice coverage there by Harper.
A perfect example of the 49er passing attack right there. It's just how many times have we seen John Taylor turn that into a big play?
Of course, it begins right there with this man, Steve Young. He reads it so well, and he's in such good sync with Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, who is now so thoroughly familiar with this offense and what Young can do. But make no mistake about it, this is Steve Young's team. He even admitted it down here this year. This is my team. But he is so good at the reads, coming off one receiver, finding the next one.
Leading the league in passing for a 4th consecutive season. 2nd and 6. Rolling left. Oh, what a move by Jerry Rice again. Takes it to the 15-yard line. That's a first down. Ran around Griggs.
And what presence, too. He knew he went right into the turf, avoided taking another shot, but he also knew he had the first down.
And a little moisture for the first time tonight.
Well, it's late in arriving. It has been predicted all day. It was raining on the west coast of Florida 4 or 5 hours ago, and they thought it would get here before now.
Here's Floyd. And the rookie pulls his way down to the 9-yard line. He's tackled there by Junior Seau and Stanley Richard.
Floyd came out of as a #1 draft pick from Florida State, rated as one of the best blockers in the collegiate game, but he also had rushed for well over 300 yards. We saw him catch a touchdown pass earlier.
Well, Floyd has added such a dimension to this San Francisco offense. He brings a punishing running style and a power between the tackles that's such a huge addition to their offense.
2nd and 4 from the 9-yard line. Ricky Waters fights his way down to the 8-yard line. He's wrapped up there by Chris Mims.
The two, Floyd and Ricky Waters, have complemented each other so much. They're like a cheering squad for each other. When you talk with them, they're so they want the other to do so well, and yet they're the kind of player that wants the football all the time.
Well, Ricky was just delighted to find a teammate who's as hyper as he is.
Well, I was talking around it. I mean, you don't.
Well, let's face it. Ricky,
I was trying to say that.
At times, Ricky Waters has been over-exuberant on the football field. He's cost his team. But this man loves to play. He loves to win. And look at it. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. George Seifert has had to reel him in at times, but Ricky Waters can play the game of football. He's a fine all-around back.
And it was William Floyd who brought his head coach into the 90s, so to speak, in the Detroit game, game number 5.
49ers take a timeout here, preparatory to a 3rd and 3 from the 8.
Super Bowl 20. I'm glad this game's at night. We just don't function very well during the day, do we?
We're not day creatures, no.
George Seifert, who I think when Deion Sanders came earlier in the year, the character of this team turned around, and he had a long meeting with Deion Sanders. That didn't go all that well, as expressed by Deion Sanders, but he has become quite a fan of Sanders. Sanders is as hard a working football player as you would ever want. He works about as hard as he does putting on his show for you, and one of the most gifted athletes I've ever watched. Certainly, I think maybe the fastest man in this game today.
And becoming the first man ever to appear in a World Series, and he played extremely well for Atlanta against Toronto a couple of years back, and a Super Bowl. 3rd and 3 now after the timeout. And the Chargers blitz, but Young gets it off to Ricky Waters for the touchdown.
Well, I'll tell you, the Chargers don't blitz much. They blitzed on the Jerry Rice touchdown at the very beginning of the game. They blitzed there. I mean, Steve Young with the perfect read.
I don't blame them for blitzing. We talked earlier, Bill Arnsparger can't just sit back. That is just perfect execution. Ricky Waters is what they call the hot receiver. The linebacker blitzes to his side. The man who's supposed to cover him is clear back in the end zone. Griggs comes up, but Steve Young gets it past David Griggs right to Ricky Waters. It's just perfectly executed by the 49ers. That is why they are the best team in football.
And maybe the best offensively that has ever been in football.
There are more than just a few coaches around the NFL that think this is the finest offensive machine that's ever been assembled.
Doug Bryan boots it through.
And, of course, the job
What do you
is
say?
in the hands of Bill Arnsparger, and this kind of tells it all. I mean, how do you stop all the weapons that the 49ers can present? You don't.
Bryan sends it down to Andre Coleman. Brings it back out to the 25-yard line. He's tackled there by McCaffrey with 4 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the first half. Steve Young at the age of 33 at the very, very top of his game. 4 touchdown passes and a half, tying a Super Bowl mark. Doug Williams of the Redskins in a game in 1988 following the 87 season.
We got to see them both.
We did. Yep. And you know, the amazing thing about that game is that was the biggest come from behind effort in Super Bowl history. Denver actually led 10-0.
Right.
And Washington won the game 42-10.
And incredibly, Timmy Smith, the running back of the Redskins, was the most valuable player in that game.
Right. And Ricky Sanders had an unbelievable day as Natron Means runs into a gang. Tim McDonald and others leading the charge.
Well, there's something that happens to a football game late in the season, a playoff game, when you're down by this big a score. Emotionally, it happens on both sides of the ball. You can't hardly avoid this kind of a feeling. That's Junior Seau. He knows, I think, this game is pretty much gone. And on the other side of the ball, the 49ers, you can just see them. They're bouncing all over the field, and they're going to attack.
Well, they better get a first down, or Steve Young's going to have a shot at 5 touchdown passes and a half.
Second down and 8 from the 27-yard line. And the catch is made by Say, and Mark Say takes it out to the 45-yard line.
I want to correct myself. I misspoke when I said that Timmy Smith was the MVP. Timmy Smith had what, 205, 204,
204, I believe.
204. But Doug
Still
Williams was the most valuable player. For those of you keeping track of the trophies at home, I want to correct myself.
Bowling.
That was Timmy Smith's moment in the sun, though. He
switchboarded, really lighted up, Dan.
So, no, I don't think it got to that point yet.
Well, Doug had called.
One fleeting moment in the sun. He was a Bobby Beathard find. They give it to Means, and on a reverse, Sean Jefferson into San Francisco territory, and he takes it to the 46. Merton Hanks makes the tackle. We can be accused of hyping it in this particular instance, 28-7. I mean, they lead by 21 to the Niners, but of all the teams in the league that have shown the propensity and ability to come back, as we mentioned at the very top, it's the team in charge of those fellas running it. Bobby Ross as well. They came from 18 back on opening night against Denver, 15 against Miami, 10 against Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. Well, who knows? From the 46, middle screen, Eric Bieniemy handles the ball for the first time in the game, and he's off to the races, and Eric Bieniemy is out of bounds inside the 15 at the 13-yard line.
Well, how quickly we have gone from talking about Steve Young and the possibilities of a 5th touchdown pass to now we're looking at the Chargers possibly getting some points.
Bieniemy on picking up a little blitz and then releasing to the outside, getting a good block and taking it down the sidelines. Let's take a look at it. Stan Humphries looking downfield. There's Bieniemy. That was a screen pass, as a matter of fact. A 2-man screen. He gets the block right there. And points out another block and gets the first down.
It's perfectly done by Bieniemy when he popped Ricky Jackson.
First down. Humphries buys time. Fabulous protection. Guns it, and it's broken up. Intended for Tony Martin. And Eric Davis, the only man in the Niners secondary not going to the Pro Bowl next week, breaks it up.
It did not look to me like Eric Davis touched it. That could have been a San Diego touchdown.
2nd and 10. Humphries throwing, and Mark Say cannot come up with it. Had position. Merton Hanks was trailing him, but it's incomplete.
It would have been a great catch, but it was catchable, and that's 2 that appeared, even though difficult, certainly were catchable from the arm of Stan Humphries. Hanks back on the defense. He's beaten to the outside, right off the fingertips, and again, it would have been a great catch. The one that could have been caught. When you're down by this many points, should have been caught.
You can't beat the 49ers without making some big plays. And those were 2 big plays that weren't made.
3rd and 10, and the pass is a little high, intended for Alfred Papunu, who scored the huge touchdown against Pittsburgh, and that's incomplete. Tim McDonald with the coverage. So they go from 1st and 10 to 4th and 10, and John Carney comes in to try to kick a field goal.
And really, those were some pretty good throws by Stan Humphries that come up with nothing. That last one was just a good play by Tim McDonald. But those first 2 passes, one of them could have been a touchdown for San Diego. When you're a big underdog and you are playing somebody as good as the 49ers, you got to make big plays.
31-yard attempt for Carney out of Gail Gilbert's hold, and that is good. So they do come up with 3. The Charger cannon goes off. 1:44 left in the half. And he does go Carter's way. Carter makes the catch at the 12-yard line. Brings it out to the 23-yard line, where he's tackled by Eric the enemy. Well, the 49ers tonight came out roaring, scoring on their first 3 possessions. Then Jerry Rice was back in the locker room, and they were 3 and out with a punt. Rice came back in. Not that he was necessarily that instrumental on the drive, but back they went again into the end zone. 4 touchdown passes for Steve Young, and 28-10 with still a ton of time remaining. 1:38.
Dion right at the point of the wedge on that kickoff return by his teammate Dexter Carter.
He was looking like he thought Dexter was going to run a reverse. He was so far out of it.
From the 23-yard line, Young for Jones, and he makes the catch. And he's a tight end who not only goes over the middle and underneath, but deep down the sideline.
And he gets out of bounds.
It's really, you sometimes you wonder if it's fair. You split Brent Jones out all the way. He's a tight end. Ricky Waters is flanked out the other direction. You've got tight ends. Look at him. That's where the split end or the flanker should be all the way.
Well, look who's got on him, though, Don. Yeah. They're trying to cover him with David Griggs, the linebacker. No, that's ludicrous.
But it's the formation that sent the Chargers haywire, because you got Jerry Rice to the inside and Jones to the outside.
Year after year, they give you more looks than any team in the league. Floyd makes the catch. It started with Bill Walsh. There's no question about that. They have really just kept the system in place every year since 1979.
That's just a brilliant move on the part of Mike Shanahan. He knows that they're going to have linebacker coverage on Jones, so isolate him. That's good stuff.
1:10 remaining in the half, and Rice makes the catch and steps out of bounds, making sure he had the first down. There is Mike Shanahan. I'll tell you this, he is #1 on Denver's list. He is probably #1 on Philadelphia's list. And if he showed any interest in the LA, St. Louis, or wherever Rams, he'd be #1 on their list.
You his agent?
Are you trying to?
I'm just telling you.
You're making some deal for him.
Telling you
and you are so right. There's no question about it. He is the hot item right now in coaching.
Are you trying to say he's in a very enviable position?
I'd like to be his agent. Second down, and the first and 10 is Ricky Waters. Takes the ball down to the 29-yard line.
I know one thing, though. If Mike Shanahan becomes a head coach, it's a return to the real world.
Yeah, reality.
When you're the offensive coordinator for the 49ers, welcome back to reality when you have to go coach somebody else.
He's already been a head coach for the Raiders. Second down and 6, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Ricky Waters.
I'm not sure that's reality.
Yes. And while we're on the subject of Shanahan, the 49ers have said there is no question they want to keep him. And Carmen Policy said last night, he said, we're going to do everything we can to keep him with us.
Look at that. 9 yards per play, 305 yards in the first half alone, and they still have the football. Whoa.
Third down and 6 at the 29-yard line. 41 ticks left. Rice in motion. The fake to Waters. And then Young throws incomplete, intended for Brent Jones, a little high.
Oh, that was poorly thrown by Steve Young. He jumped up in the air after he threw the ball. Jones would have been able to take it probably inside the 20 and improve the field goal range. You know, you picked up a first down, as a matter of fact.
The field is starting to get a little wet from the rain. You saw Jerry Rice go in motion, and he fell flat on his face, and he was slow to get up. I'm not sure if he stretched himself, but it's you got to watch this. This field is getting a little bit slick with the rain.
You saw Young there. Had he been able to get that ball, and he should have, to Brent Jones, it would have been a first down.
Ryan, a 47-yard field goal attempt. Wilmsmeyer puts it down, and the kick is short.
And bad.
And wide.
And wide.
And
no good. And errant.
Well, again, there's a guy. We
not
talked
enough
earlier.
practice.
He hasn't had a lot of really pressure-packed kicks, and I'm not sure that a 28-10 attempted field goal is pressure-packed. But this one was missed badly. Ooh, the laces are not where you normally expect to see them, Frank.
No, I don't know whether some kickers don't like that. Others doesn't bother them, and O'Brien,
he knew
it must bother him.
Yeah, that's where you poke your drive right into the woods on the right side of the fairway, and you know it the minute you strike it.
Well, let's see if the Chargers, with 30 seconds and 2 timeouts, can work their way into field goal range as Humphries throws. The catch is made. It's a 9-yard pickup to the 46-yard line. Sean Jefferson, the receiver, and timeout is called. That took 6 ticks off the clock. 24 seconds remain.
If they're thinking 6, their kicker John Carney, his best for the season was 50 yards. He made that a couple of times. He's right on the edge of 50.
Now, does that leave San Diego with 1 left?
1 timeout remaining. Yeah. John Carney, one of the very best. He holds the record for most consecutive field goals, 29, from 1992 through the beginning of 93. That marks in jeopardy, though, when next season begins. Fuad Reveiz of Minnesota begins the year with 28 in a row. So Carney hopeful of getting in. Well, he's hopeful of getting in for an extra point is what he's hopeful of right now. But at least for 3.
Ricky Jackson asking Jerry Markbright if he'd heard about how big a bonus he got when they won the NFC Championship game.
800 grand.
800 and change. It was somewhere around 850 something.
Good crew here tonight. Jerry Markbright, this is his 4th Super Bowl. Guy's doing a great job.
Ricky Jackson, the oldest guy in the game, will be 37 in a couple of months.
And we saw him make that good play earlier in the second quarter where he chased it down from behind, showing a good burst.
2nd and 1. And Humphries throws. Harmon cannot hold on at the 49-yard line, and 19 seconds remain. Tyrone Drakeford with the coverage.
That ball came out of there really wobbly.
Strange.
It almost looked like somebody touched that at the line of scrimmage.
He got a finger on that, I think.
3rd and 1.
I don't know that means anything. We've just seen it.
Humphries from Morton, and he's out in front, and it is broken up at the goal line. Eric Davis staying right with him as Humphries unloads, but the ball hung, and Eric was able to get back and break it up.
That's unusual, and such a strong arm on the part of Humphries.
Are they ruling that he caught that? Are they saying
to him, I think?
Yeah, they may.
If you have possession when you go into the end zone.
Well, it looked. They're going to say this is an interception.
Boy, look at how he closed it down on Martin. Martin is thinking 6 right here. Here comes Eric Davis. He tucks it away. If he has possession when he hits
the ball was intercepted in the end zone for a touchback.
Well, the ball was on the far side of Eric Davis. He hit the ground and it came out, and they give him credit for the interception and the touchback. 49er ball to 20.
It would be just as though you went into the end zone as a leaping running back landing in the end zone. The knee is down, and when he hits, the ball comes out.
Well, I always thought that an interception was the same as a reception. That when
he's got it away.
But you've got to demonstrate control of the football. It means precious little at this point in time. Eric Davis gets the interception, and the 49ers lead by 18.
Well, there's the smoke still drifting upward from the halftime ceremonies. I suppose emblematic of the 49ers, who are on fire in the first half and leading by a score of 28-10 as we get set for the second half of Super Bowl 29.
And the lightning bolts right now have been reduced to a football team that just simply can't afford to make a mistake in the second half. They have to play error-free football in an attempt to slowly crawl back into this football game. And again, they'd be helped immensely by a big play on special teams, an interception, any type of a defensive score. They need some lightning to strike in their favor.
A one-hopper by Bryant, Andre Coleman, and he slips down at the 19-yard line, so they don't get, as a flag goes down, they don't get that big special teams play. But what would help immensely, obviously, for San Diego is a scoring drive to open this second half.
And of course, we've talked about it so many times. They came from behind to beat Miami. They came from behind to beat Pittsburgh in the second half.
Illegal block, number 37 on the return, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Rodney Harrison, the numbers through the first half, 304 total yards for the 49ers.
Be a great game for a lot of teams, wouldn't it?
But notice the time of possession is relatively equal.
Super Bowl record, most yards gained in a half. Washington against Denver, the great Doug Williams, Timmy Smith, Ricky Sanders game. And then the 49ers here today against Miami at Stanford after the '84 season, and Oakland against Minnesota in Super Bowl 11.
And every one of those was a first half.
Yep.
Quick starts all.
From the 9-yard line, Natron Means up to the 15, and Means, who figured to be so much a part of this game if it was close, and this of course is what happens to any team when you're behind, and Means now begins to hobble off. It takes him in effect out of the game.
Dion pats him on the back on his way out. Dion obviously delighted that he's leaving. And
Chargers opening
like
with the 2 tight ends, so they're thinking run.
Yep. Looks like he's favoring his left leg somehow.
He comes out. Eric Bieniemy comes in. It's 2nd down and 5, and they give it to Eric Bieniemy. Picks up 3. He gets to the 18-yard line. It'll be 3rd and a yard or 2.
This is the type of running attack. You see Means grabbing his left ankle, but this is the type of punishing, heavy load type running attack between the tackles that both Means and Bieniemy are comfortable doing, and it's really what Bobby Beathard has tried to build with his Charger team, a big bruising offensive line, NFC type football.
Like he built with Washington, and he took the 3 Super Bowls, and it's not nearly as punishing with number 20 on the sidelines.
Exactly right, Frank.
3rd down and 2 from the 18-yard line. Humphreys throws, and it is dropped, and it's killing him right now, the drop passes. Tony Martin, and that's been the story of Martin this season, either something like that or a huge play, and of course it was Martin who scored the winning touchdown against Pittsburgh.
It was also Martin who dropped the 2 long touchdown passes against the Rams. It was Martin who was plagued with the drops here in Miami for several years, and it probably ultimately led for Don Shula to make the trade to San Diego.
Ryan Wagner to punt.
That was an easy pass to catch, though.
Dexter Carter, 28-yard line. And he brings it back to the 38-yard line.
Halftime, Bobby Ross came out. He was very upset. He said, contrasting the great offense and defense by San Francisco, that his team played that poorly. They blew assignments, they missed coverage, and he felt did not execute well. He's going to change his matchup from the defensive side to try and get better coverage on the receivers. And offensively, he's going to keep the same game plan, just better execution. Now let's go to Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Len, they were very professional, very demeanor. Only Ricky Jackson said we're halfway there. George Seifert said we've got to look for the long ball defensively and defend against it offensively. He said we'll see more of Ricky Waters at receiver.
All right, Leslie, and they fake it to Waters, and it's Jerry Rice. So if it's not Waters, it's Rice, or it's Taylor, or it's Jones, or it's Floyd. And they just keep on coming at you as they have against every team they have faced this season.
And there's a pass virtually impossible to defend, and wait till you see the footwork by Rice on the sidelines.
But he, again, it began with Steve Young. He got the read. He knew Rice was going to be in single coverage, and Darren Gordon's pretty good man-for-man coverage in the coverage, but he was not going to let Rice beat him deep.
What a nice tick of the right foot by Jerry Rice, getting it in bounds.
7 catches for him. Ricky Waters gets taken down by Dennis Gibson. The first to meet him after a gain of 1. It'll be 2nd down and 9 at the 45-yard line. 2nd down and 9. Gordon out and Van Horst in defensively in the secondary, and Young gets sacked back at his own 46-yard line by Ray Lee Johnson, a backup defensive end.
Guy who only had 1.5 sacks all year long, Ray Lee Johnson, a second-year guy out of Arkansas, and there's a way to get a little pub.
8-yard sack, 3rd and 17. They have to get to the 36th for a first down, and they get to the 32 as the catch is made for a first down at the 32-yard line by
Guess who?
Jerry Rice.
Absolutely. The Chargers went right back into their 2-man deep zone. Jerry read it beautifully coming over the middle, and Steve Young right in sync with him and hitting right in front of the in front of safety man, Stanley Richard.
I guess the key, Frank, on that defense is to make sure that everything happens in front of you, no matter how deep the pattern run by the opponent. Jerry Rice,
well, you have to know
all the
your
room in the world
is going to go for the yardage for the first down, and that's where you lock up. You don't give him 10 yards beyond that.
Darian Gordon back into the secondary as Young scrambles And hits Taylor. A flag is down. Another broken tackle. Yet another. But it may all be moot. A flag is down back at the 15-yard line.
7. Defense. Penalties declined. First down.
First down at the 17-yard line. Ricky Waters picks up about 3, losing his helmet, but holding on to the football. It'll be 2nd and 7. Lee and Gibson in on the stop. 49ers, and so much was made this year about the salary cap. And the salary cap, in effect, figured to hurt teams like the 49ers and the Cowboys with the big payrolls. But Carmen Policy to a lot of teeth gnashing, and Policy is the man on the right next to Dwight Clark in the middle.
Bill Walsh standing behind Eddie DeBartolo.
DeBartolo on the left. A lot of teeth gnashing around the league. But Paul Tagliabue kept saying, hey, look, he built a better mousetrap. Flag down. And Ricky Waters is stopped for no gain.
They were drawn off. The Chargers had encroached on the line of scrimmage.
A lot of 49er history standing up in that booth. With Clark in the middle of one of the most famous receptions.
Offsides. Number 91. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
2nd and 3. And Ricky Waters cuts it back for the touchdown.
Steve Young raised his arms. He made the change at the line of scrimmage, read the defense, knew what he had to go to, knew the play he wanted, made the change. Touchdown 49ers. I tell you, they're awesome.
They are now playing against themselves in a way. They're playing against the greatest teams in San Francisco history. That's the only question right now.
Boy, and you watch number 8 direct this offense. I asked him the question, I said, what winning the Super Bowl mean to you? And he said, it would be the pinnacle. I feel like I've been climbing a mountain over the last few years. I'd slide back about 10 or 15 feet, and then sometimes I felt like I was going to fall off that mountain. Says, if I get to the top, I will have reached the pinnacle of my career.
Well, Bart Oates at center, Derek Deese at right guard, Jesse Sapalo at left guard, Wallace at left tackle, Bart at right tackle are kicking butt right now. Bobby Ross just finished delivering a pretty good tongue lashing to his defensive unit. There is an awful lot of football yet to be played here. Almost 24, well, there's 24 and a half minutes left to go in this football game, and defensively, the Chargers have folded up their tent, and he's trying to get them to drive a few stakes back in the ground.
Now Andre Coleman takes the kickoff. Andre almost breaks it, and he's taken down there by Dana Hall. Here it was. There was Ross talking to the defense.
And granted, they are playing a sensational football team, but there's a lot at stake here for the San Diego Chargers. And obviously I'm not talking about the outcome of this ball game, but there's an embarrassment factor and a humiliation factor that none of these guys wants to be exposed to, and how they play from here on out is going to have a lot to do with how they're judged.
1st and 10 from the 36-yard line as Natron Means back in the game. Takes it out to the 40-yard line. He is stopped there by Ken Norton, who's attempting to become the first man ever to play on 3 consecutive Super Bowl winning teams, twice a Cowboy and now a 49er.
You know, one of the interesting things that happened last year to the 49ers when they lost the NFC Championship game, it meant that George Seifert was coach of the Pro Bowl team, and he went to Hawaii, and he had a long talk with Ken Norton Jr., and he talked with Ricky Jackson, he talked to Richard Dent, and all of a sudden they became 49ers. He got to know them, and he saw how they could fit into the 49ers scheme of things.
2nd down and 6, and the catch is made by Alfred Papuno. A great catch, skirting the sideline, out of bounds at the 36-yard line.
Papuno, the hero of the Pittsburgh Steelers game with his 43-yard touchdown reception, and they like to hide him and then kind of leak him out.
You know what's kind of been lost in this game is how well I think Stan Humphries is throwing the football.
That could not have been thrown better.
No, that's just perfect. And he has thrown the ball well. He's put the ball in the hands of a lot of receivers, and the balls have been dropped.
A couple of critical drops. He could have put him back in the game. Natron Means picks up 3 to the 33-yard line. He's tackled there by Norton.
I don't mean to demean anyone, but Sean Jefferson and Mark Say and Dwayne Young are not John Taylor, Jerry Rice, and Brent Jones. And this man has got a tremendous arm. He's got a great heart. One of Bobby Beathard's draft picks with the Washington Redskins. Got him, I think, what, in the 4th round or 3rd round several years ago, and traded for him in '92. And he will be a good quarterback for the Chargers for a long time to come.
A couple old Saints locked up here, Stan Brock and Ricky Jackson.
2nd and 7. Humphreys guns one, and that's incomplete at the 25-yard line, a little bit behind Mark Say. You know, you were talking about the receivers not being comparable to the 49ers, Frank. That was one of the questions about the Chargers coming into the year as well. Anthony Miller was their leading receiver last year, and a good one. He opted to go to Denver. They lost their leading receiver and their leading rusher, Marion Butts. Both left, and this team winds up going to the Super Bowl.
Mark Say had not caught an NFL pass, the wide receiver for the San Diego Chargers. And this year, he caught 58.
3rd down and 7. Good protection. He guns it to the 27, and it's incomplete. And again, a drop ball. Sean Jefferson hit as the ball gets there, and it's 4th down.
Now, we talked about a 4-down series when you're 35-10, even in the halfway through the 3rd quarter. Even though you need 6 yards, you're going to go for it. 7 yards, whatever it is, you're going to go. And good hit by another Pro Bowl bound 49er, Tim McDonald.
4th and 7, down by 25. They go for it as Humphreys takes a deep drop and then throws incomplete, but a flag comes down. 2 receivers and 2 defenders in the area.
Martin is saying is Eric Davis pushing off him.
Well, Eric Davis is the guy that nearly intercepted the ball.
49ers are saying we'll decline
Pass
in his
interference.
offense.
Number 82, offense. Penalty is declined. 1st down.
That's Mark Say, and the Charger wide receivers are taking turns being involved in plays that are not helping their ball club. Here is the 4th down play. Mark Say is number 82. Watch his left hand here and how he gets it on the face mask. You see it on the face mask there of Tyrone Drakeford, and that's what really draws the attention of the officials. Granted, Drakeford has his arms wrapped around him as well, but it was, I think, the fact that Say led with his arms first and then got the left hand up on the face mask that brought that flag.
And William Floyd is the recipient of this Steve Young pass for a 9-yard gain. Meanwhile, you saw Ross, how angry he was before. How about Natron Means while we were away for a commercial? Here was his act.
And just keep in mind, this is a 22-year-old youngster who obviously has got a lot of spirit, a lot of pride, and he is chewing on some pretty big people.
Well, those are the rest of his offensive teammates, and frustration is certainly going to boil over with the Chargers. They are not in a spot that anybody would want to be in right now.
2nd and 1 at the 43.
Whoa.
Floyd close to a first. You know, the Chargers came in a situation, a lot of teams who get to big games, whether it's the Stanley Cup Finals, World Series, or the Super Bowl, and are not expected to be there. Everybody says, well, isn't it good enough? I mean, isn't it good enough to be? And you try to convince yourself, no, it's not. But then in retrospect, you begin to think in the offseason, you know what? We were just happy to be there.
Yep. Well, it's how you start the season. The San Francisco 49ers started the season, and in their mind, the end of their successful season was winning this game. I don't think the San Diego Chargers looked that far ahead. Nor should they have, because it's just that would have been really naive and I think a little over-realistic on their part.
Young wrapped up at the 40-yard line. Junior Seau.
Which, you know, Al, you mentioned Dallas and San Francisco. You know, there are people out there who say it's time to abandon the conference matchup in the Super Bowl and go to some sort of a seeding system where you seed the teams. If 12 are in the playoffs, you seed them 1 through 12. And obviously this year, I think it would have been a no-brainer that Dallas and San Francisco would have been the number 1 and number 2 seeds in opposite brackets.
3rd down and 14.
Don't look for it coming to the NFL anytime soon.
Young throwing, and everybody looking for a flag. And when Jerry Rice turns around like that, it's a guaranteed flag.
And
that's Darian Gordon.
He's grabbing the receiver, Jerry Rice. Rice trying to run a fly, and Steve Young trying to get in between the zone. And Darian Gordon suspected he might, and he grabbed him.
Defense, first down.
Here he is on the outside. Actually, he's locked up man for man. You can't touch him after 5 yards.
Can't do it. Just can't do it, no matter how much you want to. No matter how much you need to. You just can't.
22-yard penalty. 5:41 left in the third. San Francisco leading 35-10. First down 49ers at the 38-yard line. Singleton in motion. Waters swinging to the outside, and the rookie picks up a first down. Derek Deese with the block. Darren Carrington with the tackle.
You know, and Derek Deese has been so much for these 49ers. They struggled in the early part of the season. One of the main reasons they had so many of their offensive linemen who were hurt. When Tam went down, Derek Deese came off the bench and has filled in ever since the second game.
Good lead block on this play by Derek Deese, the right guard. And one of the things the 49ers as an offensive line do so well is that they get their linemen out in front of plays that are around the corner, outside the perimeter of where you would think offensive linemen in today's game can get to. That's how well these guys run.
Here's Waters, and he's taken down by Sean Lee.
Well, they don't have anyone that starts in that offensive line over 280 pounds. Harris Barton may be right around there, but they are quick and they get in and they tie up the legs and make things happen.
They had a good look there at Ralph Tam, who actually was the starter at right guard this year and nursed a foot injury that caused him to miss most of the season. A question will be Bart Oates and his future with the 49ers, and if he comes back to this team next year, and what kind of shuffling happens around the inside of that line. Sapola moved from center to guard and made the Pro Bowl in another position.
Second and 10. Young on the run and steps out of bounds at the 12-yard line. A first down.
And Bart Oates is on his way to another Pro Bowl.
And he's on his way to getting his third Super Bowl ring.
Well, like any
picked up a pair with the New York Giants.
Like a lot of teams, they'll have to do some retooling, but they're in pretty good shape. A lot of guys with long-term contracts, and they're all set. Oates, of course, one of those fellas who's at an age where, you know, you begin to wonder, do we look for a replacement for him?
Well, and also Bart is one of those guys that you don't know if he's going to continue to play because he has a lot of options. He's a lawyer and
practices law, lives in New Jersey. He's got a lovely family, and you don't know what he's going to do.
Here's Waters. And he's taken out of bounds.
Takes a shot at Darian Gordon.
Sayal helping to escort him. He's trying to become the first man, could become the first man in history to score 4 touchdowns in a Super Bowl game. Roger Craig scored 3 against Miami in Super Bowl 19, and then Jerry Rice in Super Bowl 24 with 3, and Waters tonight.
On that graphic, I think we should use Roman numerals instead of the 3s over there. We got all the Roman numerals on the left. I think we need some Roman numerals over there on the right.
Oh, man.
This is the Super Bowl. Only Roman numerals are acceptable here.
Dexter Carter comes in. He too works well out of the backfield as a receiver, coming in for Ricky Waters.
Young on 2nd and 13. John Taylor gets hit by Gordon as the pass comes into his territory. Ray Lee Johnson, who had the sack earlier, decking Young.
And one of the few times tonight that this man, Steve Young, has been pressured.
We've seen, I think it's about the only time tonight that we have seen both the quarterback and the receiver dropped on the same play.
3rd and 13 at the 15 after the timeout. Young throws. Jerry Rice. Touchdown.
What a pair.
Jerry landed awkwardly in the end zone. He looked like he took a shot on the left side again when he went down.
From Sean Van Horst.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice just taking it downfield, planting and driving off the left foot. Steve Young drilling it in.
I think Steve Young walking around, he's a human exclamation point with that score that puts the 49ers into the 40s.
On their way to 49 because they'll have 42 in a second. Doug Bryan for the point after.
And 5 Lombardi trophies will belong to the 49ers, more than anybody else.
Steve Young is now 22 of 30 for 316 yards and 5 touchdown passes. Rice 9 receptions.
And if you're wondering, 0 interceptions.
Steve Young on his way to a rating of about 300.
Look at this move right behind a little move behind another receiver, and again Richard playing deep in the end zone. That's not a good way to get into the coverage.
You know, Jerry started to glide a little bit there when he went into the end zone. He actually started to slow down and took kind of an awkward shot. Right here, I think Jerry's just not going all out and lands a little bit awkwardly. I'm glad Jerry Rice has scored in this ball game, because he is in many ways the heart and soul of this football team. In the way he works, the way he approaches practice, he, I think, as much as anybody, if not more than anybody, personifies the San Francisco 49ers.
Here's Andre Coleman taking off. He gets by the kicker Bryan. He's being chased by Troy Cook. And Andre Coleman, traced now by Drakeford, scores a touchdown. 98 yards for Coleman.
Well, we knew they had special team explosiveness, demonstrated there by Coleman, who didn't even have to break a tackle, did he? I'm not sure a 49er ever touched him.
That's Andre Coleman, not Darian Gordon, who has returned kicks for touchdowns this year for the San Diego Chargers.
Remember the last time these two teams played, Doug Bryan made a sliding whiplash kick tackle. He's confronted right here.
But forget it.
Went the conventional way and didn't get it done.
Coleman returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns this season. That ties a Super Bowl record. Fulton Walker of Miami against Washington in 1983, 98 yards for a touchdown. And the Chargers, who are now down 42-16, will line up for 2. So another Super Bowl first time a 2-point conversion has ever been attempted. And Humphreys throws, and let it be duly noted that Mark Say caught a Humphreys pass for a deuce.
Goes in the record books.
Yep. To make it 42-18.
What an exciting play that is with the new rule this year, and we saw so many more of them return for touchdowns and big yardage.
Well, the kickoff return, in my mind, has always been one of the more exciting plays of the game, and anything you can do to incorporate more of them into a ball game, why not?
Well, John Carney to kick off. 49ers have 5 men up 10 yards from the line of scrimmage just in case. But he sends it down to the 19-yard line, and it is taken there by Dexter Carter, who goes down at the 27. Well, Steve Young already 5 touchdown passes, and here he comes with almost 18 minutes remaining in the game. Young throws underneath, and John Taylor can't hold on. Briggs was covering, and Steve Young, who was shaken up on the last series, is wringing his right elbow and wrist.
Grabbing the right forearm. Of course, you know, he's left-handed. That's his non-throwing arm, but still he's got a little blood there, a little scrape on the right on the wrist. Let's see if we can see anything here.
I think it happened before. No,
oh, there it is.
Right there.
A helmet right on the outside of his hand, right at the wrist area.
2nd and 10 at the 28-yard line. And Steve gets taken down, and again it is Ray Lee Johnson.
Ray Lee, number 2.
More than he had the entire regular season.
Just a second-year guy gets his 2nd sack. Of course, that's a sack that comes about because Steve doesn't find anything downfield, tries to move. Looks like he's about to take off again. He's flushed from the pocket in one direction, and good work by the front 4 of the Chargers.
3rd down and 13 at the 25-yard line. 49ers on top, 42-18. Young throws, Waters makes the catch, and he is tackled. Coming up to make the stop, the rookie Willie Clark. Well, at least the Chargers have a mini pulse right now.
And the crowd is getting into it. Super Bowl crowds are kind of different. You don't have a hometown crowd to come up with the big noise for you. People have traveled from all over, many of them, of course, from California with the 2 California teams, but it is a different crowd, just not the same volume. Fine open field tackle by the rookie from Notre Dame, a third-round pick this year.
Klaus Wilmsmeyer, his second punt of the game.
And Darian Gordon is one of the more accomplished punt return men in the NFL.
He's run 2 back-4 touchdowns this season.
He can make something happen.
190 and 175 yards.
Fair catch is called for and made at the 28-yard line. So Wilmsmeyer does his job, a 44-yard boot and no return with 1:22 left in the third. Well, here are the Chargers at the 28-yard line, 1st and 10. And it's incomplete as he throws into double coverage. Hanks was there along with McDonald on a pass intended for Sean Jefferson. Second down.
Once again, there I'm sure was a temptation on the part of Stan Humphries to try to go deep to Tony Martin, who was locked up one-on-one on Deion Sanders. And again, what Sanders will do for you, you can leave him on man-for-man coverage, and he's going to lock up again on Martin. And you get to roll the other way and double cover both the tight end and the wide receiver. He lets you do a lot of things, Deion Sanders.
49ers with a 4-1-6 defense, 6 defensive backs here. And the catch was made by Sean Jefferson up at the 34-yard line, tackled by Eric Davis.
Once again, Sanders one-on-one on Tony Martin, but Humphries doesn't go there. He knew it was single coverage. He came to the opposite side of the field, and there was double coverage on Jefferson.
3rd and 4. Catch is made by Alfred Papuno, but he is stopped at the 37-yard line by Tyrone Drakeford and is a little short of the first down.
Boy, that was a good hit by Drakeford on a much bigger man. Papuno, 265 pounds. Drakeford, a svelte 185. That was a good hard hit.
And the Chargers will go for it here, 4th and 1. They have to. Only 25 seconds left in the third. 42-18. They're trying to stay in the game, but they have to convert right here. Natron Means is the tailback. They give it to him. Nothing there, so he has to come back the other way. Humphries blocks McDonald, but then Hanks comes up from the secondary, and Means is taken down.
And you credit all of that to Tyrone Drakeford and the hit he puts on Alfred Papuno, bringing up this 4th down. Now that was a play where everybody in the 49er defense was involved, but it never comes about if it's not for Drakeford's hit on Papuno.
And Merton Hanks, as Means tried to swing it out to the left. There's what a good blow delivered there by Lee Woodall, one of the rookie starters that we talked about. Now watch Hanks playing it so well.
Lee Woodall, you named him, Frank. Excellent shedding of the block at the point of attack.
Yep. He broke the play up, did Woodall, because that's where Means wanted to go, and after that it was all improvisation. 8 seconds to go in the quarter, and it is knocked down by Leslie O'Neal, intended for Ted Popson.
Now that would have been fun if Leslie would have caught that. That'd have been a one-on-one with Leslie and Steve Young. That's a play where O'Neal's not blocked. He's left alone on the backside. It's up to the quarterback to get it past him. Leslie O'Neal, one of the fine defensive ends in the game, had none of it.
Steve Young comes into the huddle now and he looks around. I think probably with Mike Shanahan he's talked to. He said, who haven't we got into this game tonight? Let's get him into it.
2nd and 10 at the 32-yard line. Ricky Waters to the outside and is out of bounds, a little short of the first down as time expires in the third quarter. 4th quarter of the Super Bowl from Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. The San Francisco 49ers 15 minutes away from an unprecedented 5th Super Bowl win. 3rd down and 2 as play begins in the 4th quarter. Steve Young, who's already thrown 5 touchdown passes, gives the ball to Ricky Waters inside the 20 and out of bounds at the 11-yard line.
So typical of the way that the evening has gone for San Diego. You see Junior Seau, who comes on an inside blitz, and Ricky Waters takes it to the outside. This
very familiar looking play, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's typical of what's happened all night tonight. San Francisco has just literally had their way with San Diego any which way they wanted to.
They have one problem you pointed out already. They're a little fatigued. It's very humid here. It's about 80 degrees at the start of the game. And with the 49ers, They do a lot of pulling, their offensive line. It's hard work tonight.
I'll guarantee you that San Diego is a lot more tired right now than it's
They're going to feel it a lot more. You know that.
Ricky Waters picks up about 4. Well, you know, we opened up our Monday night schedule this year with the 49ers against the Raiders, and everybody thought the Raiders were maybe the best team in the AFC, certainly one of the 2 or 3 best. The Niners looked fabulous that night. Hit a bump the next week losing to Kansas City, and then, you know, again, that crazy game against Philadelphia. But outside of that, they have been on an incredible roll this year.
And then as we talked earlier, the next week coming back and winning 27-21 against Detroit after being down by 14, and they never looked back since then.
Young to Rice, and that's incomplete against Steve Young with a 6-touchdown pass. If it happens, would be the first in history to accomplish that, and that would really be the exclamation mark to this incredible season.
Over 170 countries looking in tonight, many of them broadcasting in their own language, and it's like a Tower of Babel almost up here as we walk along the press box with the foreign languages that are broadcasting being here.
Rice making the catch, stretching and reaching, touchdown San Francisco. A clinic.
And I think Jerry is saying, don't haul me up yet. There he is. Good. I thought for a minute that he was a little banged up.
The slant.
And I believe
how many times have we seen that?
That's the record for Steve Young, breaking the record of Joe Montana in the Super Bowl. Wow. What do you say?
Look at the little move to the outside, so familiar. Breaking it back to the inside. Steve Young right there with the football. Dwayne Harper, the victim.
Oh, that's a beautiful look, guys. Beautiful look. Spiral in the ball, down low. Harper has no play on it whatsoever. Rice, a big receiver.
You know, for a great player, this is tough to take. And Junior Seau is a great football player.
Yes, sir.
One of the best to ever play that position. Almost literally taken out of tonight's game.
Ryan kicks off, fielded up at the 13-yard line. Here's Coleman, who's already run one back 98 for a touchdown. Out to the 38-yard line. He's tackled there by Adam Walker.
Elvis Gerbach is warming up on the 49ers sideline.
From the 38-yard line, Humphreys throws. Ronnie Harmon makes the catch. And he's tackled there by Eric Davis. So the 49ers, 5 Super Bowl victories after tonight in 5 appearances. Twice they beat it in Cincinnati. Once they took care of Miami. Once Denver. And now on their way to disposing of San Diego as Humphreys throws incomplete.
Fine coverage once again. Stan Humphreys having time to throw the ball, and just good coverage downfield.
Well, one of the things we promised Dwight Clark, Al, down on the field before the game was that we would compare this edition of the San Francisco 49ers to some of those great ones back in the early and mid 80s that he played on. And of course, it's all speculative, but wow, what a collection this group here is.
Pretty tough. 3rd down and 5. And the catch is made up at the 49-yard line. And that should be a first down with forward progress. Ronnie Harmon. Most people, I think, feel of all the teams, the 84 team.
That was the 18-1 team.
Right. They lost to Pittsburgh in the regular season, rolled through the playoffs. There it is. Most points in one postseason. The Niners have just eclipsed that mark. Their 89 team with 126, and Dallas in 92 is 3rd. Humphreys airs it out and out of bounds. Sean Jefferson couldn't hold it, and he was out anyway.
And Humphreys is down and having a hard time getting up. Ankle or knee, grabbing on his left leg.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, he got stretched out.
Yeah, there you can see that's Bryant Young rolling up the back of the legs of Stan Humphreys. And when Stan Humphreys leaves a football game, you know he is hurt. This guy has a pain threshold that eclipses most normal human beings. This is a tough guy.
So here is Gail Gilbert, 2nd down and 10 at the 50-yard line, 12:34 remaining. 49-18 49ers. And Dan, we started to talk about that 84 team, right, generally recognized as the best until now.
Gail Gilbert only 3 starts in an NFL career that's spanned 9 years. Sticking behind Jim Kelly and Frank Reich. Buffalo.
Gilbert starts to slip, but
What a way to begin.
takes it down to the 43-yard line on an improvisation move, working on Humphreys. Steve Young and Jerry Rice keynoting this team, the '84 team, of course, with Montana, the emerging Roger Craig,
Ronnie
Dwight
Lott.
Clark, yep, Ronnie Lott. 3rd down and 3. Say pushed out of bounds. Their other championship, their first one was one that came out of nowhere in Bill Walsh's 3rd year to beat Cincinnati. Then the '84 team. The '88 team was an interesting team. They were 6-5 at one point that season, but roared at the end and won. And the '89 team was Seifert's first year, and they destroyed the Broncos in the Super Bowl. And the '90 team was a great team as well. They came within a Roger Craig fumble and a Matt Barr field goal of going to a Super Bowl. Instead, it was the Giants who went on to beat Buffalo.
None of them were chopped liver.
No. Harmon.
Harmon, the ball carrier.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Nice little piece of athleticism there by Tyrone Drakeford. He did a nice job of keeping Harmon on his feet and then letting go at the last minute and tap dancing right over the top of the bench. Don't try that in your living room.
Very interesting.
Unless you're Edwin Moses.
There it is again.
Watch Drakeford go over the top of that thing.
Good move.
I guess.
I have to say, I find it interesting that they have not gone at Deion Sanders as they said they would all week long. They have avoided him with the exception of a couple of plays in the first quarter.
2nd and 10, flags all over the joint.
Well, there were multiple 49ers on San Diego's side of the ball.
Offside, number 92, defense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
They were in kind of a rainbow formation.
They were.
Things change so dramatically. When you take your regular quarterback who takes all the snaps and practice and has played in all the games, you take him out of there and there's your rainbow.
I don't think Jerry Markbright and the boys have, I don't think they have the heart to throw many flags at San Diego right now.
Remember, you need at least 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. Here's Harmon taking it down to the 10-yard line. Tackled by McDonald.
Ronnie Harmon, born in Bayside, Queens in New York, and still lives there. One of the fine receivers out of the backfield in the NFL.
That's 58 this season, but geez, the 2 previous seasons he had 73 and 79 catches.
Humphreys throws. Harmon. Harmon's brother Derek, yes, he's out of bounds. The play is dead at the 7. His brother Derek played for the 49ers on that 1984
There's
team.
a Super Bowl, right?
Gilbert throws, and at the goal line, it is Tyrone Drakeford
broken up at the goal line.
breaking it up, intended for Alfred Capuno.
A good look at the Natron bomb.
You don't mean that he bombed, but
No.
that's what they call it.
No, that's what they call it.
3rd down and 6 from the 7-yard line. Gilbert throws, and that's broken up. And they come out of everywhere. Here's Deion.
That's about the only thing missing tonight is Deion taking one of those guys and going about 95 yards with it.
Deion just with a little mini dance step, a couple of mincing steps right there.
Charles Mincy.
Right.
He had a pretty good play on this. Read it well. Quickly closes.
And that's what's extraordinary. Don't be confused about that right hand across to the back. That was
Holding.
in after the, oh, I think that was after the play. Frank. I'll finish my own sentences, thank you.
4th down and 6. And Gilbert flips one, and that is picked off, and why not? What's a Super Bowl without a Deion Sanders interception? And then Ronnie Harmon comes in and bangs into the turf at the 11-yard line.
Oh, and Ronnie Harmon is barking at him also.
Well, that's one way for Deion to get hit.
And Deion points out to Ronnie, look at the scoreboard.
Not
Ronnie.
being a very good sportsman is Deion Sanders. That's the ultimate cruel cut on the field, is telling your opponent to take a look at the scoreboard.
Here's William Floyd taking it to the 20. William Floyd trying to become the first guy to play on a national championship team and then start for a Super Bowl winner in back-to-back years since Tony Dorsett, who played at Pitt and then went to the Super Bowl as a starter in his rookie season with the Cowboys.
He just fits so well into this 49er attack. He's a superb blocker, really a gifted blocker, but more than that, he can run the football, and Jerry Rice is going to come off. He is going to get an ovation.
I think what Seifert's going to do is bring out his guys one by one if he can and let them hear it from the crowd.
Again, this is a Super Bowl crowd. It's different than it would be.
Here's Floyd
in San Francisco,
taking it up to the 26-yard line.
Yeah, and he'll do it to Steve Young here before long. If you take those numbers and factor in Jerry's game back in December against the Chargers, where he had 12 receptions for 140 something.
He's got a mile.
Steve Young, at the age of 33, capping his brilliant season. Steve, the backup to Montana, so he has a couple of rings. In fact, Young did play in the Super Bowl following the '89 season. But it's a little different tonight.
Yes, sir.
First and 10 at the 26-yard line, and they give it to Floyd. Tackled by David Griggs.
You look at the 49ers, and so much has been made of George Seifert and Carmen Policy and Eddie DeBartolo and their handling of free agency. How about the way they've handled their draft? You think about this as a team built of just free agents, but to think that they have 3 rookie starters on this football team, when you think of Rice, John Taylor, who's getting to come out of the game, Steve Young, and all of these veterans, but 3 rookie starters, all highly productive, and William Floyd, Bryant Young, and Lee Woodall. It's a perfect meld of youth, of veterans, of high-priced and high-profile free agents, and this is one of the best marriages of talent I have ever seen.
And not a bad run of luck either. Lee Woodall was drafted as a safety out of Westchester State.
And now here's
Deion comes in on offense.
Here we go.
I think if they go to him, and one of the things they worked on is
what do you think?
Work out of the slot.
Yeah, what do you think Bobby Ross's opinion is of this right about now? I bet you his blood pressure just went up a few.
It's 3rd and 13. Sanders was.
Oh no!
And they're going to go deep to Deion, and he's double covered, and it's incomplete at the 38-yard line.
He went by
back there.
He went by Darian Gordon like Gordon was going backwards.
Stanley Richard, though, roaming free safety, had that spotted all the way.
But look at Gordon. Gordon just lets him go. Right here, Deion is 4 yards downfield from Darian Gordon.
Richard coming over had the inside coverage and Gordon the outside, but he really separated from
Gordon.
What?
Richard got there before the ball. He timed that pretty well, but he actually hit Deion before the football arrived.
They're not going to let Deion come down there all alone.
Wilms-Myers punt, dropped by Gordon, fumbled again, the ball is loose, and the Chargers are able to recover at the 28-yard line. Lewis Bush with the recovery. You know, we were talking about the Niners and keeping their team together, and they have a lot of their key people under contract. Sanders signed a 1-year deal. Carmen Policy said, we want to keep him, and he wants us to find a way to keep him next year. He loves the Bay Area. His endorsements are worth more if he plays with the 49ers. He could be back. Harmon. And one way they may keep him is to keep him interested in getting in occasionally on offense, as he did just there before the break. 2nd down and 10 at the 28-yard line. Humphreys back in, and Humphreys going deep, and that's picked off by Toy Cook, the former Saint.
Boy, did he time that beautifully.
28-yard line.
Beautifully timed by the veteran from Stanford. Free agent from New Orleans. And, well, we could use a little less of this.
Well, 7 years you toil in New Orleans, and here you get your shot at the big brass ring, and I'm not going to blame Toy Cook for being a little over exuberant, and it's a pretty nice play, and this is a guy 7 years down there, 1 year here in San Francisco. He's got a little let loose. Go ahead, blow it off.
I just kind of like what Steve Young did. 6 touchdown passes, and And he handled kind of gracefully. Rice, 149 yards, 10 receptions, 3 touchdowns. Pretty classic.
Toy taking his bows in front of a crowd that's about a third of what it was during the rest of the game as Ricky Waters swings to the outside. Mr. and Mrs. Grit Young, Steve's parents.
Still like their home in Greenwich, Connecticut. Where Steve played high school for the Greenwich Cardinals under Mike Ornato.
And I think going to see Steve coming out of the game.
Here he comes.
Here he comes.
They still love him in their hometown, too.
You know what? You like this guy in anybody's town. It's
Class
hard
all the way.
It's hard to dislike him in San Diego.
2nd and 12, and Floyd up to the 31-yard line, tackled by O'Neal.
I'm sure it's begrudging, but even if you're a Charger fan, you have to admire greatness, even if it's the opponent.
3rd down and 7 at the 31. Elvis Gerback in the game. And that's incomplete, intended for Singleton.
Steve Young, who characterized his battle to the top as climbing a mountain, and he has reached the pinnacle.
And he's got his arm around Ed DeBartolo, who's had to fight through the death of his father not long ago. A man who bought this franchise, and how sweet this must be for Eddie, given the recent death of his father. This has to be especially sweet for Ed DeBartolo. And boy, talk about a couple of bank breakers.
Eddie's got a lot of bank to break.
Yeah, he does.
And can they mess up a cap?
At the 32-yard line, Darian Gordon brings it back to the 35-yard line.
Interesting thing, Al, you touched on something earlier that because of the way they structured, the way they hired the players, the way they brought them in, that next year, with all the bonuses kicking in, they're still not going to be that far over the cap.
No, people keep talking about this team mortgaging the future. Carmen Policy and Eddie DeBartolo dispute that. They made what they felt were very rational decisions.
What I wouldn't give to know the feeling. For those of you that have never played in a Super Bowl, and I'm one of you, boy, that must be something else. That has got to be great.
Humphreys throwing, and the catch is made. Up at the 41-yard line, Mark Shea. Yeah.
All right.
Jackie Rice, Jerry's wife.
Take your bow.
Yep. A little more jewelry coming into that safe deposit box at the
beautiful
Rice Manse.
Your guy is the best.
End of his 10th season in the league, and he's never been better.
And he's such a professional. That's the beauty of Jerry Rice.
Nobody on this team to this day, and he is in his 10th year concluding it, works as hard as Jerry Rice. And that sets the standard for all of them.
As intended, Mark Say.
Beautiful shot.
There's a lot of good things in sports. It's unfortunate in one respect that this type of a celebration has to come at somebody's expense. And tonight that bill was paid by the San Diego Chargers.
3rd and 3. Alfred Papuno makes the catch. Jerry Rice, and he has said he would love to own all of the records, and if he stays around for 3 or 4 or 5 more years, he will not only own them, he, like Gretzky in hockey, will just obliterate every record as you look at some of the marks.
Well, you see, he's 114 behind. He had 112 receptions this year.
But
so
everybody's going to start making more receptions with these new rules, and records will be much more vulnerable.
Humphreys deep, too deep, intended for Sean Jefferson.
I suggested that to him, and for you, Al and Dan heard what he said. He's not worried about that at all.
By the way, I asked him the other day, and you guys were there, and I said, who's the best cover corner you have faced in 10 years? He said,
oh, yeah.
Dion.
Darn right.
2nd and 10 as Humphreys guns one to the 43-yard line, and it's caught there by Tony Martin. And Dwight Clark came down and gave George Seifert a new jacket, a jacket that already signifies that the 49ers are the Super Bowl champions.
George, there's still 3 minutes left in this ball game.
3:10.
Pretty bold statement.
Ooh.
Humphreys, sacked.
Tim Harris comes in for the sack. There's Norton, who will become the first to win 3 Super Bowls. No teams won 3 in a row, but there's a guy who has played on 3 Super Bowl champions in successive seasons. Ken Norton.
Another sack for Harris. He's had a great playoff. Had fit 4 in the previous 2 games. Now a 5th playoff sack.
And Stan Humphries is taking a beating in there and still giving it the old All-American try. And demonstrates it there with a completion for a first down.
Mark Say makes the catch. Clock ticking down to 2:40.
You know, Stan's hobbling up to the line of scrimmage. He is hurt, but boy, you got to admire his grittiness and stay with itness.
49-18. And wide open. We cut away from the play to see George Seifert taking his bath as Tony Martin makes the catch. And George Seifert with to the accompaniment of the Charger cannon.
And I think George is saying, "What's that cannon going off for?"
Yeah. His brand new jacket.
I don't know that George is even aware of the fact that San Diego scored a touchdown.
Right.
You know, he may not be too thrilled when he wipes off those glasses and find out that they scored.
And George Seifert changed a great deal with this ball club this year. Going all the way back to Detroit as we look at the touchdown. Stan Humphries to Tony Martin, but in that Detroit game when young William Floyd came out and said, "Come on, this is the 90s, George." That changed things a lot for this team.
Here's Humphries looking for 2, and again he's successful on a 2-point conversion. And there's Alfred Papunu
and his coconut drink.
Yep.
Well, now they're down to 2 scores, 3 scores, 4 scores. Who cares how many scores? They'll try an onside kick for sure now.
Junior Seau, there's no question that it hurts. It's not a good performance by the San Diego Chargers, but let's face it, when they look back upon this year, the perspective of the season, they went much further than almost anybody anticipated and at least won the AFC for the first time in the long history of the Chargers, as the onside kick is fielded by Ed McCaffrey and taken there.
I'm not that good a lip reader, but I think one of the things Deion Sanders said was, "I love you, Mama."
Well, a lot of records have fallen tonight, and we now have a mark for most points in a game. Both teams, 75 tonight. Dallas against Buffalo in a Dallas rout a couple of years back. The old mark, 69. And Pittsburgh, Dallas, that was their 35-31 game.
Of course, if it was going to be 78 points, I would have preferred 38-37.
You would have had the teacher say, "See me." That adds up to 75.
I thought that's what it was.
That's right. That is what it is. You're right.
Oh, no.
Sorry about that.
You go see the teacher,
you're right.
Al.
You're right at this point.
You go put on the dunce cap and stand in the corner.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Ed DeBartolo, he's going to put on a cap, and it's not going to be a dunce cap.
They're going to take a victory lap here.
The 49ers for the 5th time. They move to the head of the class. Al and I go see the teacher, but the 49ers definitely go to the head of the class.
Dexter Carter. Tackle of the 48 by Junior Seau.
55, Junior Seau.
Class, class, class.
2 minutes to go. The 49ers on top, 49-26. Bill Musgrave comes into the game on 3rd and 24 as George Seifert's going to let every guy on the roster have a chance to say he played in a Super Bowl.
The winningest coach percentage-wise in the history of this game. And I hope he gets his due. Well, there's a good-looking ball.
Wilmsmeyer, and that's fair caught at the 7-yard line by Darian Gordon.
Bobby Ross, who's been successful wherever he's coached. There'll be another day. He is now finishing his 3rd season with the Chargers. Had a remarkable 11-5 in his first year, and last year lost a lot of players, slipped to 8-8. This year, nobody gave them a shot to go anywhere. They lost their leading receiver, their leading rusher, revamped their entire defense behind this man, Junior Seau, and yet they pulled together another 11-5 season.
He'll take it and build on it.
A pretty good organization. One of the question marks will be defensive coordinator Bill Arnsparger. Will he choose to continue? It's his option, according to Bobby Ross.
49ers leading by 23 as Humphreys throws. The catcher's made. To the 21-yard line goes Mark Say, and that's a first down with 1:28 ticking down.
As Bill Arnsparger, the defensive architect for 5 different Super Bowls, 2 of them the great Super Bowl for Miami in '72 and '73, went on to be head coach of the Giants, '74, '75, fired there in '76. Was an athletic director at LSU when he decided he wanted to get back into coaching 2 years ago.
Humphreys, and the catch is made by Tony Martin. Up at the, or is he? No, he's out of bounds. Was Martin. Incomplete, second down.
The thing that will haunt San Diego as they make the trip back to the West Coast are the mistakes that they made early. The first 2 touchdowns to the San Francisco 49ers, where they are beaten down the middle of the field when they're in position to make the plays and don't, will, I think, for a long time make Bobby Ross and everybody involved with the Chargers organization wonder, what could we have done if we would not have just given them a couple cheapies at the beginning of the ballgame. And then receivers for the Chargers early in the ball game weren't hanging on to the football. They just made it too easy for San Francisco too early in the ball game. I think all in all, Stan Humphreys has held together awfully well tonight. I think he's thrown the ball well. I think he has, Frank, in my opinion, I think Stan Humphreys played a pretty good, doggone good football.
He's had a great season. Another great season. When they brought him here in '92, Bobby Method brought him here. He threw for over 3,300 yards. He's got a great one-lost record.
2 timeouts left for San Diego as Humphreys looks over the middle, and that's incomplete at the 46-yard line, intended for Mark Say. Second down and 10 at the 39-yard line. And Humphreys guns one. It's caught at the 43. And Tony Martin makes the catch there. And I think a few people around this great land of ours have moved to the forward portion of the couch at the moment. You better believe it. 27 seconds and the clock ticking down at the 44-yard line. Humphreys throws. Here's Ronnie Harmon making the catch, and he is stopped at the 35-yard line. And a timeout is taken by the San Diego Chargers.
Mike Shanahan has made his way down from the booth, and he's hugging Steve Young.
Dion. Well, it's second down and 1 at the 35-yard line to the strains of "We Will Rock You." The ball is snapped. The Humphreys going deep and incomplete, intended for Martin with 10 seconds remaining.
Dion all the way back at the goal line, playing center field here for the 49ers, strategically placing himself farthest from anybody on the entire field.
Steve Young, officially the Super Bowl most valuable player.
And as good as, and you know, once again, Jerry Rice turns in a sensational football game, worthy of being a most valuable player in a Super Bowl, but yet eclipsed by a quarterback who turned in even bigger numbers.
Hearts beating all over the land as Humphreys throws incomplete. And it is now 4th down with 2 seconds remaining. So this will be the final play of the game, barring a defensive penalty at the 35-yard line. 49ers leading by 23. Humphreys putting it up. And it is out of the end zone. And why not? Dion out of the end zone winds up with the football. He gets the game ball.
Dion catches that one in the bullpen.
The 49ers wrap up one of the great seasons in the history of the National Football League as George Seifert wins his 2nd Super Bowl title. The Niners, the first team to win 5. And Steve Young, the first to throw 6 touchdown passes in a Super Bowl.